Have you ever wondered if solitude could be your greatest companion? What if aging wasn't about losing connections, but about discovering a deeper freedom? And could it be that true joy isn't found in the noise of the world, but in the stillness within ourselves? Living joyfully alone. A Buddhist perspective on friendship in old age. Picture yourself sitting quietly by a gentle river, its surface shimmering with golden hues from the setting sun. There's no rush, no noise, only the soft rhythm of your breath and the peaceful embrace of the moment. Society often warns us that solitude should be feared, as if being alone means being forgotten or abandoned. But what if that idea is entirely wrong? What if solitude is not an empty void, but a sacred doorway? What if, instead of loneliness, it offers us something infinitely richer? Freedom, peace, and a path to self-discovery. From a Buddhist perspective, attachment to external validation is one of the root causes of our deepest suffering. Throughout much of life, we chase approval, hunger for connection, and dread separation. Yet true contentment doesn't come from the number of friends surrounding us. It blossoms from the relationship we nurture with ourselves. Old age, then, is not a season of loss, but a season of profound personal liberation, a time when the mind and heart are finally free to rest in their natural, unhindered state. This journey is not about rejecting companionship altogether. Rather, it's about welcoming solitude as a wise and compassionate teacher. Let's explore why aging isn't about diminishing, but about rediscovering the truest essence of who we are. 1. Understanding the shift in priorities. As the years pass, it is natural for our priorities to shift. What once felt urgent, the need for companionship, social validation, constant activity, gradually begins to lose its pull. In youth, we often seek friendships to define ourselves, to carve a place in the world, to feel seen and valued. But Buddhism gently reminds us, the self we work so hard to build is impermanent. The identities we cling to are but fleeting illusions of the ego. Eventually, the relentless chase for belonging gives way to a different longing, a longing for peace. In our younger days, friendships often act like mirrors, reflecting back a curated image of who we think we are. We gather relationships like trophies, believing that the more we have, the more complete we become. Yet as we age, a quiet transformation takes place. We begin to question, is all this noise truly necessary? Slowly, we realize that fulfillment doesn't come from crowds, parties, or endless conversations. It comes from how deeply we can sit with ourselves in complete stillness. The desperate urge to constantly reach out, to seek affirmation, softens. In its place, a gentle contentment arises. No longer trapped by the need to impress or maintain appearances, we find joy in simpler things. The coolness of morning air, the slow blooming of a flower, the comforting weight of a well-loved book resting in our hands. These moments nourish us. This is not loneliness, this is liberation. Buddhism teaches that suffering stems from craving, clinging to things that are ever-changing. Relationships, like everything else, are impermanent. They evolve, they fade, they transform. When we release the desperate need to grasp onto others just for the sake of having them, we open ourselves to experiencing relationships freely, without expectations, without chains. This shift doesn't mean we care less for others. It means we engage more authentically, more sincerely. We become selective, not out of coldness or selfishness, but out of wisdom. We realize our energy is precious. Instead of scattering it across countless shallow encounters, we choose to invest it in what, and who truly matters. Some may mistake this choice for isolation, but in truth, it is a deepening of self-awareness, of presence, of understanding. When we are alone, we are not empty. We are overflowing with the richness of our own being. And in that fullness, something beautiful happens. We no longer need the world to validate us, because we have already found that we are, and have always been, whole. As we step deeper into this journey, let's now explore how embracing solitude not only transforms our relationship with ourselves, but also brings a profound new meaning to the friendships that remain. After embracing the quiet power of solitude, we now come upon another profound gift that aging offers us. A gift deeply rooted in Buddhist wisdom, the freedom of true self-reliance. 2. The freedom of self-reliance. One of the greatest teachings in Buddhist philosophy is the profound art of self-reliance. The Buddha himself left behind his palace, his family, and all his worldly wealth to embark on a solitary path toward enlightenment. He understood with crystal clarity that attachment, while comforting in the short term, ultimately breeds suffering. As we grow older, we begin to see with fresh eyes how much of our earlier life was spent trying to meet expectations, pleasing others, molding ourselves to fit into social patterns, and maintaining friendships not always out of true connection, but often out of obligation. Now, in the golden years of life, we are gifted with something precious, the permission to release these expectations. We no longer need to depend on external relationships to validate our worth. Instead, we are called to turn inward, nurturing a profound sense of wholeness that comes not from the outside world, but from the quiet wellspring within ourselves. At first, the idea of self-reliance might feel unsettling, even daunting. After all, we have spent decades immersed in the rhythm of social life, conversations, gatherings, endless webs of relationships, and unspoken expectations. To step away from that familiar dance can feel unnatural, even frightening. But with time, a beautiful realization slowly dawns. Self-reliance isn't about cutting people off. It's not about rejecting companionship. It's about discovering true freedom. Freedom to engage with others by choice, not by obligation. Freedom to value inner peace over external approval. Freedom to simply be, without the constant pull of needing to prove ourselves. Think back for a moment to the times in your life when you felt most at ease. Perhaps it was a soft, silent morning with only the cheerful songs of birds drifting through the open window. Or maybe it was an afternoon by the sea, watching waves roll in and out in their endless, calming rhythm. Those moments of pure contentment did not depend on the presence of others. They were peaceful because they gave you space to simply exist, undistracted and whole. This stillness, this ability to sit fully present with ourselves, is the very heart of true self-reliance. In the earlier chapters of life, we often chase fulfillment outside ourselves. We seek recognition, love, and belonging, believing these treasures lie beyond our own reach. But as the years pass, a deeper truth reveals itself. Fulfillment was never lost. It has always lived quietly within us. There is a deep, abiding satisfaction in knowing we are enough, exactly as we are, without needing the world to tell us so. And from this rooted place of inner abundance, we interact with others differently. We form friendships not out of fear of being alone, but out of genuine joy. There is no desperation, no aching incompleteness that clings to relationships that no longer nourish us. We give freely, love freely, simply because we are full and because we have so much to share. This shift in perspective is nothing short of transformative. Rather than fearing solitude, we embrace it like a familiar friend. Rather than labeling ourselves as alone, we recognize ourselves as gloriously independent. And in that independence, we discover something magnificent. We find strength. We find peace. We find a life no longer dictated by shifting tides of external expectations, but guided steadily by the quiet, unwavering voice within, a voice that has always known what we truly need. Self-reliance in our later years is not an act of rejection. It is an act of liberation. It is the beautiful realization that everything we sought in the outside world, love, peace, understanding, was always waiting patiently within us. Now that we have uncovered the power of self-reliance, let's journey even deeper and explore another timeless Buddhist lesson: how embracing impermanence reshapes our understanding of relationships and life itself. After learning the profound peace that self-reliance brings, we naturally come to another deep realization. In this season of life, it's not about having more. It's about cherishing deeper, more meaningful connections. 3. Quality over quantity, the art of meaningful connection. Buddhism reminds us of a timeless truth. The nature of all relationships is impermanence. Friends will come and go. Some bonds will quietly fade with time, while others will live on only as tender memories. Yet, instead of mourning these natural shifts, we are invited to celebrate them, for they were precious moments that colored our journey, no matter how brief. As we grow older, this truth settles gently into our hearts. It's not the number of people in our lives that defines its richness, but the depth and sincerity of the connections we share. One single heartfelt conversation can hold more meaning than a lifetime of surface-level chatter. There is a beautiful Zen teaching that says, "When drinking tea, drink tea." In other words, whatever we do, we should do it with our full presence. The same wisdom applies to relationships. Rather than scattering our attention across countless acquaintances, we are encouraged to pour our heart into the few souls who truly nourish us. But what does this look like in daily life? Imagine sitting with an old friend over a simple, humble meal. There's no need for grand gestures, no pressure to entertain or impress. Just the soft murmur of conversation, the shared warmth of being fully present with each other. In that quiet moment, you realize something powerful. Connection isn't about extravagance or how often we meet. It's about authenticity. It's about being seen, truly seen, by another human soul. Now, contrast that with standing in a room full of casual acquaintances, where conversations skim the surface, never daring to touch the real depths of who we are. In our youth, perhaps we sought validation in numbers, more friends, more gatherings, more noise. But as the seasons of life turn, we come to see a different wisdom. True fulfillment lies not in collecting relationships, but in cultivating them. Aging blesses us with a new kind of discernment. We no longer feel the need to accept every invitation, to maintain every connection that has outlived its meaning. This isn't selfishness. This is clarity. It's wisdom. The gentle wisdom of knowing where to invest the precious currency of our energy. In practicing this discernment, we set ourselves free. We are free to invest more deeply in the relationships that truly nourish our soul. We are free to redefine companionship itself, not as constant activity, but as simple, profound presence. We begin to find connection in the quietest places. A smile exchanged with a stranger, the silent, easy understanding between lifelong friends, the tender embrace of nature itself on a still morning. Connection is everywhere, waiting to be found, if only we choose to be fully present for it. Moreover, by embracing quality over quantity, we learn a vital art, the art of deep listening. In Buddhist tradition, true listening is considered an act of love. When we listen, not planning our reply, not thinking ahead, but truly listening with our full being, we honor the sacred presence of another. Even the briefest encounters can then transform into moments of genuine meaning. As we move forward through life, let us remember, relationships, like everything else, are fleeting. But the depth of our interactions, the sincerity of our presence, and the love we choose to extend, these are what linger long after the moment has passed. In the end, it's not how many hands we've shaken that defines a life well lived, but how many hearts we have truly, deeply touched. As we continue to walk this path, let's now explore another essential truth that brings grace to aging: the importance of gratitude and how it transforms our experience of solitude and connection alike. After learning to treasure meaningful connections over sheer numbers, we are now invited to embrace another sacred companion in our journey: the quiet, nourishing beauty of solitude and reflection. 4. The beauty of solitude and reflection. Solitude is not an empty void. It is a sanctuary, a sacred space where the heart can breathe and the mind can finally hear itself. In Buddhist tradition, monks retreat into periods of silent meditation, not because they resent the world, but because they seek to understand it more deeply. They know that only through silence can they truly listen, and only through stillness can they truly see. The same principle beautifully applies to old age. Rather than rushing to fill every moment with idle chatter or distractions, we are gently encouraged to embrace silence as a sacred space for reflection. When we sit alone in quietude, we finally give ourselves the gift of time. Time to process our experiences, to accept the paths we have walked, and to release old regrets that no longer serve us. Within this stillness, a profound truth begins to reveal itself. We are already complete, even when we stand alone. There is something deeply sacred about simply being alone with our thoughts, about allowing ourselves the space to truly listen, not to the noise of the world, but to the soft, steady voice within. In the constant bustle of daily life, moments of true silence are rare, easily overlooked or even feared. But within that silence lies an extraordinary opportunity, the opportunity for genuine growth. When we gently step away from distractions, we create space to reflect on the choices we've made, the lessons we've learned, and the person we have become. We look at our lives not with judgment, but with a compassionate eye, an eye that sees both the struggles and the triumphs as vital parts of our journey. Too often, people equate solitude with loneliness, but this is a profound misconception. Loneliness is the painful absence of connection. Solitude, however, is the joyful presence of the self. When we learn to befriend ourselves, to sit comfortably in our own presence, solitude transforms from a heavy burden into a treasured gift. It grants us the clarity to see life for what it truly is, a fleeting yet breathtaking journey, where every moment is an invitation to deepen our understanding. Throughout history, many spiritual seekers have found their greatest wisdom through solitude. The Buddha himself meditated in isolation beneath the Bodhi tree before attaining enlightenment. Great poets, philosophers, and sages, too, have turned inward to find the timeless truths that the busy world often drowns out. There is undeniable wisdom in stillness. By stepping back from the noise of the world, even for a little while, we begin to see it and ourselves with fresh, compassionate eyes. Moreover, solitude nurtures creativity and introspection. When we are alone, free from the demands of external expectations, we can fully engage in activities that bring pure joy. Writing a heartfelt letter, painting colors from the soul, tending to a quiet garden, or simply sitting in silent contemplation. These solitary pursuits enrich us, reminding us that true fulfillment does not depend on the presence of others. It blossoms quietly from within. Of course, embracing solitude doesn't mean shutting the world out completely. It's about balance. It's about knowing when to seek connection and when to lovingly retreat into ourselves. It's about weaving stillness into our daily lives, not as an escape, but as a practice of deepening self-awareness and inner harmony. In the end, solitude is not something to be feared. It is something to be cherished. It is a path leading us back to ourselves, a doorway into inner peace. When we learn to sit comfortably with who we are, we realize a beautiful truth. We are never truly alone. We are always in the faithful company of our own soul. Having found the beauty in stillness, let's now explore the subtle but powerful role that gratitude plays in transforming not only our solitude, but the entire experience of growing older. After discovering the sacred peace that solitude brings, we also recognize another profound truth. While stillness nurtures our soul, the embrace of family and community strengthens the heart of our human experience. 5. The importance of family and community. As friendships naturally ebb and flow with the tides of time, the significance of family and community often grows stronger and shines more brightly. This deepening connection isn't about dependency. It's about stepping gracefully into the role of wisdom keepers, mentors, and guiding lights for the generations that follow. Buddhism teaches us about interdependence, the timeless truth that all beings are intricately connected through a vast web of cause and effect. While solitude offers priceless gifts, so too does the ability to give selflessly, to pour the richness of our experiences back into the lives of others. As we age, life presents us with a unique and precious opportunity to pass down wisdom lovingly, to serve as beacons of quiet strength, and to leave behind something far greater than ourselves. Family, whether by blood or by choice, becomes a sacred space where unconditional love and deep-rooted bonds are nurtured. A simple, heartfelt conversation with a grandchild, sharing a story of resilience, gently guiding them through life's uncertainties. These small moments carry immeasurable weight. In these exchanges, we glimpse the beautiful continuity of existence, a ripple of impact that stretches far beyond the horizon of our own years. Community, too, plays a vital and irreplaceable role in sustaining a sense of belonging. It might be the familiar face at the local market who greets you warmly. It might be the neighbor who offers a smile across the fence. Or it could be the spiritual group that gathers to meditate quietly under the same sky. Unlike friendships forged in youth, often centered around ambitions, adventures, or fleeting interests, connections in later life are shaped by authenticity, by depth, and by a shared reverence for simply being. Moreover, giving itself becomes a source of profound fulfillment. In Buddhism, the practice of dana, the virtue of generosity, is one of the most revered paths. It is said that true giving, done without expectation, purifies the heart, softens the ego, and opens the gates to a boundless sense of peace. Perhaps one of the most touching lessons we learn is this: true connection is not about numbers, obligations, or expectations. It is about presence. It is about showing up fully and sincerely. Whether it's sharing a quiet afternoon, teaching a skill to a younger soul, offering an ear to someone who needs to be heard, or exchanging a moment of kindness with a stranger, each small gesture reminds us of our deep, living interconnectedness. In the end, family and community are not just about relationships. They are about the imprints we leave behind, the wisdom we pass on, the love we extend, the moments we treasure. Through these acts, we contribute to a living legacy, a beautiful thread woven into the fabric of life, continuing long after our own footsteps have faded. As we reflect on the impact of our presence within family and community, let us now turn inward once more and explore another gentle but profound truth: the power of acceptance, and how embracing impermanence brings true peace in our later years. After embracing the deep meaning of family, community, and the connections we choose to nurture, we come to another liberating realization: the profound freedom that comes from letting go of the world's expectations. 6. Letting go of social expectations. The world around you may constantly whisper or sometimes shout that you need more friends, that being alone is something to fear. But Buddhism teaches a different, gentler truth. Suffering often arises not from solitude itself, but from clinging to society's expectations. Old age offers a precious opportunity, one we often overlook: the chance to step away from the noise of the world and finally live according to our own terms. For much of our lives, we are shaped and molded by external pressures. We are told what success should look like, how we ought to behave, and even who we should surround ourselves with. We chase after recognition, measure our worth by numbers: more friends, more invitations, more visibility. Yet at some point, a quiet but profound realization dawns. None of these things truly define who we are. Letting go of social expectations means embracing a new kind of freedom, the freedom to live authentically. There is no obligation to maintain friendships that leave you feeling drained. There is no requirement to conform to outdated molds of what a social life is supposed to be. True peace, the kind that softens the heart and steadies the soul, is not found in appeasing others. It is found in honoring yourself. This shift is not about withdrawing from the world entirely. Rather, it's about engaging with life on your own terms, in your own rhythm. For some, this may mean choosing meaningful solitude over forced interactions. For others, it might involve setting firm but gentle boundaries, prioritizing depth over quantity. Sometimes it's simply about letting go of the invisible guilt, the guilt of saying no to social norms that no longer serve your spirit. Buddhism reminds us again and again: attachment breeds suffering. When we tie our self-worth to how socially active we are, we hand over our happiness to forces outside of our control. But when we release these attachments, when we let go of the need for approval, for validation, for applause, we open a doorway to a new kind of contentment. It is a contentment rooted not in the noise of the world, but in presence, self-acceptance, and a deep inner stillness. At the end of the day, the only real measure of a life well lived is simple. Have you found peace within yourself? Not by counting how many people gathered around you, not by how many invitations you accepted, but by the quiet, unwavering tranquility that comes from living in alignment with your deepest truth. Letting go is not loneliness. Letting go is freedom. And in that sweet, boundless freedom, we finally meet the most authentic version of ourselves, the one who was patiently waiting all along. Now that we have uncovered the freedom of living authentically, let's step even deeper into this journey and explore how inner fulfillment arises, not from external achievements, but from nurturing the heart's quiet joys. Having let go of rigid social expectations, we now arrive at a gentle, empowering question. How can we redefine connection in a way that honors the changing rhythms of our lives? 7. Practical considerations. Redefining connection. As we journey through aging, changes in our physical health, mobility, and energy levels naturally arise. But these changes are not barriers. They are invitations, open doors leading us toward a more mindful, fulfilling way of experiencing connection. We often imagine connection as something grand, lively gatherings, festive celebrations, or long, animated conversations. Yet in truth, connection often lives in the smallest, most tender moments. A warm smile shared with a stranger on a quiet street. The sudden, contagious laughter of a child floating through the afternoon air. The simple, heartfelt joy of receiving a handwritten letter from an old friend. Sometimes, these fleeting glimpses of humanity weigh far more in our hearts than an entire evening of obligatory chatter. In today's world, modern technology offers gentle bridges of connection without demanding our energy in overwhelming ways. A video call filled with familiar smiles, a thoughtful message sent across the miles, or even a shared silence over the phone where presence speaks louder than words. These small but intentional acts remind us we are never truly alone. Rather than exhausting ourselves with endless social obligations, we are free to choose interactions that nourish us, that feel mutual, warm, and true. Buddhism teaches us to embrace change, to flow with it rather than fight against it. If our bodies slow down, we don't resist, we move gently with them. If travel becomes more difficult, we don't lament what we cannot do. We seek fulfillment in the present, in the sacred space we already inhabit. True connection has never required constant movement. It requires presence. So instead of asking ourselves, "What am I missing?" we can ask a more compassionate question. How can I experience connection in a way that aligns with who and where I am today? Perhaps it means deepening the relationships already surrounding us instead of seeking new ones. Maybe it means fostering a profound bond with the natural world, feeling the gentle rhythm of life in every whisper of the wind, every rustle of golden leaves under our feet. By redefining what connection means to us, we free ourselves from outdated expectations. We embrace the quiet. We savor the simplicity. We honor the beautiful depth of a life well lived. And in doing so, we realize a quiet truth. Connection isn't measured by how many people gather around us. It's measured by how deeply we engage with the life that unfolds right before our eyes. With this renewed understanding of connection, let's now explore how practicing presence and mindfulness allows us to weave these simple, sacred moments into the very fabric of our everyday lives. After learning to embrace connection in its simplest, most authentic forms, we naturally arrive at a deeper reflection. How every choice we make, every kindness we share, quietly shapes the legacy we leave behind. 8. A legacy of wisdom. Buddhism teaches us a timeless truth. The greatest gift we can leave behind is not wealth, not titles, and not worldly status. It is wisdom, the quiet, enduring lessons we impart through the way we live, the presence we offer, and the understanding we embody. Old age is not about accumulating more possessions or accolades. It is about distilling life down to its purest essence, recognizing what truly matters and letting go of what does not. Through storytelling, we pass down not just memories, but invaluable experiences, offering guidance lovingly wrapped in the personal histories that shaped us. Each story becomes a light, gently illuminating the path for those who come after us. Through small, everyday acts of kindness, we teach others the real nature of compassion, not through grand speeches, but through quiet, consistent love. By embodying inner peace, we become living examples of tranquility. We show, without needing to explain, that contentment does not come from material gain or relentless striving. It comes from the clarity of a mind unburdened, light, spacious, and free. Even in solitude, our impact ripples outward. A life lived with wisdom continues to give long after our own footsteps fade from the earth. Each seed of insight we plant, every word of encouragement, every gentle smile, every patient act becomes part of something far greater. A vast, invisible tapestry of collective knowledge woven into the hearts of those who remain. This is how we leave a legacy, not carved in stone, not amassed in riches, but etched into the very transformation of the lives we have touched. It is a legacy that grows silently, beautifully, carried forward in the wisdom, compassion, and resilience of others. As we recognize the quiet power of the wisdom we leave behind, let us now turn inward once more and explore how living mindfully, moment by moment, allows us to fully embrace each day as a precious gift. After understanding the profound legacy we create through wisdom and compassion, we now turn inward once more to embrace perhaps the most precious companion we have always had, ourselves. 9. Embracing the gift of your own company. At the very heart of Buddhism lies a profound understanding. Suffering arises not from our circumstances, but from craving, from longing for what is absent, from resisting the present moment exactly as it is. But when we learn to simply sit with ourselves, to fully embrace our own presence without judgment, we unlock a joy that is deep, unshakable, and gloriously independent of external conditions. It is a joy that rises from within, like a soft, radiant light that no storm can extinguish. Old age, contrary to popular belief, is not merely a time of loss. It is a season of profound gain, a return to the self, an opportunity to live fully and authentically, unburdened by the heavy expectations of others. For so much of our lives, we tirelessly mold ourselves to fit into society's ever-shifting images. We play roles, maintain relationships out of duty, and strive to meet expectations that are often not our own. But in solitude, those masks fall away, one by one. What remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of who we really are. There is a sacred, luminous beauty in this process. The silence that once felt intimidating becomes a sanctuary. The stillness that once seemed empty transforms into a vast space of infinite depth and richness. We begin to listen, not just with our ears, but with our whole being. We hear the quiet voice within, the one that has been whispering to us all along, patiently waiting for us to notice. In this solitude, we find a rare and precious clarity. We recognize, often with a sense of wonder, that happiness was never something external we had to chase. It was always here, tucked gently within us, simply waiting for our presence. Some may fear that embracing solitude means giving up on human connection, but nothing could be further from the truth. When we find peace within ourselves, we meet others not out of need, but from a place of fullness and authenticity. Relationships become lighter, freer, more genuine, no longer weighed down by unspoken expectations or silent dependencies. We learn to love people not for what they can give us, but for who they are, exactly as they are. We give love, not because we lack it, but because we are overflowing with it. And then, a breathtaking realization gently dawns. We were never truly alone to begin with. The universe moves through us. The trees, the rivers, the winds, the sunlight, they do not stand apart from us. They breathe with us, dance with us, intertwine with our very being. Solitude, in its truest sense, is not isolation. It is union. Union with the vast, living, breathing wholeness of existence. This is the sacred gift of our own company. It is not something to endure. It is something to cherish. It is an invitation to step into the vastness of our own soul, to see ourselves clearly, to gently take our own hand and whisper with deep certainty, "I am enough." So as we walk the winding path of aging, let us not mourn what has passed, nor cling desperately to what is fleeting. Let us instead embrace the breathtaking fullness of the present moment. Let us sit in the quiet, not with fear, but with reverence. For in that stillness, in that sacred solitude, we do not lose ourselves. We finally find ourselves. And in that tender, luminous discovery, we are free.